Pro wrestling talk from the four corners of parts unknown. This is That Wrestling Podcast.
Welcome to another edition of That Wrestling Podcast, the final show of 2021. We have Joe in the house. Kevin is here as well. Jason is taking a much-deserved week off, a final week off for the year, and he'll be back next week. Quick programming note. We touched, if you listen to our Christmas gift roundtable from last week, we talked about how we were going to do our end of the year awards, the Twippies. We decided to push that back one more week. We wanted to make sure Jason could be a part of that. And, there's still a day or so left at maybe when you're listening to this of the year. So we got to make sure that we get every little part of wrestling included before we cast our final ballot. So that'll be coming next week. So even though it is just the three of us, we can't break tradition. We got to start off with, what are you wearing?
What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing today? What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing today?
I am happy to go first, and all of us got some cool shirts for the Christmas edition of That Wrestling Podcast. I did not choose one of those though, because I went with one that ended up under my Christmas tree on Christmas morning, and that is the NWO knockoff version of That Wrestling Podcast logo, the T, the W, the P, from whatamaneuver.net. Such a great high quality store. The war with pro wrestling tees rolls on. If you follow them on Twitter, yes. I'm going to kind of stay out of that a little bit, but we have no complaints about What a Maneuver and all that they do for us and so many other people who use their services for their show. Joe, your shirt sticks out like a sore thumb, and I think it's a good reason why you're wearing it for sure.
Well, it's one of those rare shirts. It's not black. I'm wearing the Undisputed Era Forever shirt, the red one that my wife says looks like the Van Halen logo. So yes, that's what I'm wearing today for some reason. I wonder why.
We may or may not touch on that later on in the show. No, that's good. And Kevin, for you?
Yeah. Brian, you said you got yours from What a Maneuver. It's kind of like the epitome of, small store. Mine comes from the biggest store, non-Amazon, Walmart.com, part of Walmart. It is a two-for deal. It was 2 for $12. I got it over the summer. Finally wearing the one. It's a WrestleMania, Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels, it's the promo kind of poster. It's very faded. First time ever wearing it. It looks like it's probably 20 years old, but it's brand new.
See, the thing about that shirt is, Kevin, this is the thing that people can't see. The Shawn Michaels picture is from like 93. It's not the WrestleMania 14
right.
Shawn Michaels. That's like the Heartbreak Hotel talk show Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 9.
Oh, you mean where his nipple gets caught in the metal chain?
Yeah, that's like Shawn in his mullet glory picture there. So I love that you represent those Walmart shirts, but that one is perfect Walmart because it's not even the right Shawn Michaels.
That's an amazing point, Joe. That shirt is like literally a time machine of like 4 years apart. Like Austin was probably stunning Steve in WCW with blonde hair at the time that Shawn's wearing that outfit. That's exactly. So great point.
I love that shirt. When you sent that pic, I'm like,
yeah,
man, I love that shirt.
Great catch. Wear that one proudly, Kev. But talk to us guys about Christmas. We had the Christmas edition, and we all had such amazing gifts. I loved going back and listening and put up our YouTube page if you haven't watched it, so you can see all the gifts that we decided to give each other. One quick hilarious moment from that episode when I was so thankful to Joe for sending me a Steelers sweatshirt. We realized off the air that was not from Joe. I bought that myself. I bought that for my mother-in-law. And so Joe kept a silent stone face the whole time. Didn't
Not in my
crush
head.
my dreams. He's just in his head. He's like, I had not said that. I don't know who did.
No, that was great. The whole time you're like gushing over. I can't believe you remembered. I needed a new one. I'm like, nope, didn't at all.
That was classic. Oh, a lot of laughs. That was a great episode. But yeah, our Christmas was good. You guys know I've got 2 little girls, and one is 5, one is 2. My 5-year-old Harper, who those listening know from the football picks, she's fully invested. She comes out Christmas morning. Did Santa eat the cookies? Did the reindeer eat the carrots? Did the milk get drank? And they loved it. My 2-year-old, probably about halfway through, was kind of done with it, was just rather like, okay, here's my one gift that I just want to play with, and I'm not interested in unwrapping or doing anything else. But it was great. We had some family time. We hadn't done anything with the family for Christmas in 2020 because of quarantines and everything else. So we got to be back together with them and watched some football, had some great food and drink. It's all you can ask for. Joseph, how about you, my friend?
Well, my wife and I had a real low-key Christmas this year because earlier in the year when we moved to new parts of Unknown, and we dropped a lot on the kitchen, which is now officially done. That's what we've been doing for the past week and a half. They came in, they put in the new countertops, everything got hooked up, and we've been organizing and painting, but we finished it like about 2 hours ago. So now that's done. So we kept it really low key. And my mom came over for Christmas, which was like the first time in years, because it used to be just my mom and dad would always like go travel to another state because I have 2 siblings who live in 2 different states, and they would like take turns going there. Well, with my dad passing away earlier in the year, my mom was basically didn't want to travel anywhere. So we invited her over to our house to just have dinner. So we kept it really low key this year. Like we didn't go overboard on presents because we spent everything on the house and the new kitchen, but it was really nice. We had a good time, and just glad that we made someone's day.
That's great. That's great to hear. Kevin, your Christmas day with your family, how was it?
Yeah, it was almost on cue. Brett was coming in with one of his favorite gifts. My mother-in-law bought him. It's not like a big balloon. It's kind of like vinyl, but you blow it up, and it's a wrestler, and he's wearing a luchador mask, and it basically is like, I don't know, 3 feet tall by 2 feet wide, and he's just like stationary. And he was coming to show it off apparently, but when I told him to show it in front of the camera, he ran away. He ran. He ran super fast. But yeah, just seeing him so excited. Christmas morning, Santa brought us matching wrestling socks. He got a lot of wrestling stuff, a lot of Nintendo Mario related things. Not Brett, but I drank a lot of beer. Trying to go to. Last day I drank was on Christmas, and I'm trying to make it 5 days of no beer, which will probably get canceled out tonight when I break it.
I was about to say, like
the time of recording, Michigan State will be going against Pitt in the Peach Bowl. Yes. And I have the streak of getting pretty drunk during those bowl games of happiness or sadness. But no, Christmas was fun. I'd say one of the other highlights is at my wife, my in-laws, they own a big roulette wheel. So everyone brings like dollar store or $2 gifts, right? And everybody brings like 15 to 20. We're sitting around there for like 2 to 2.5 hours. And you each get like 2, 3, 4 numbers, depending on how many people are there. So this year we each got 4 numbers, and literally you just roll it, spin it, spin it, spin it. And my wife's parents, Laura's parents brings like $10 B-Dubs gift cards, $15 Applebee's, $20 gift lottery ticket. So no, it was a lot of fun. Just nice having the time off, drinking a lot of tasty drinks. Joe, he sent us a text. He got some bourbon and scotch, right?
Yes, that's the thing. Scotch. We kept it like low key, but then it's, my wife ends up giving me like some bottle of scotch, bottle of bourbon, and she's like, "I'm sorry, I had to keep it low key because you always like your craft beer 6-packs too," which she always like throws in there. So I didn't get the beer. Oh no! I'm like, I guess I'll just stick with the with the bourbon and the scotch, which I'm a big bourbon guy. It's happened in the last couple of years. I don't know how it happened, but when my mom came over and saw my collection, she's like, "Do we have to talk?" I'm like, "We'd have to talk if they were all empty. There's a little bit in each one, but some of them I haven't even opened yet."
That's
but
awesome.
yeah, I ended up. They're not listening, so I don't care. I ended up buying one for my brother and one for my sister. They're big Michigan fans.
Gross.
So, but my sister went there, so it's okay. I went to Michigan State. She went to Michigan, but we're still family. But they sell Charles Woodson bourbon.
Yes, I've seen that.
So I ended up buying like a
online.
bottle for her, one for my brother, and of course, one for myself. So I'll be having that on New Year's Eve during the Michigan
Championship
Georgia
game.
game.
Yeah.
Does it say on the side, if you drink enough, you'll do the Heisman pose?
Woodson never did.
think so?
I see. The thing is, like, Kevin, you're a Spartan. I am as well. But you gotta give Charles Woodson credit.
Oh, I give him credit.
He's probably like one of the greatest defensive players I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That was when defensive players actually got the Heisman.
He won it. He beat Peyton Manning and Randy Moss.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, guys. And you triggered for me that I actually have another Christmas gift that is wrestling related. I haven't opened yet. Maybe I'll open it live next week on the Twippies, but I think I can at least show it now. So talk amongst yourselves for I'd say about 15 seconds. I got it right behind me. All right.
Okay.
So Kevin, basically, why did you not give Brian? Because Brian was giving us crap for watching the state game because it's a worthless bowl game, but he has missed pay-per-views to watch Steeler preseason games against like the Bills' third stringers.
I think it was the Lions, if I'm not mistaken. So.
It was
even worse. Even worse.
I know. All right. So this may be similar to what you were describing from Brett. I got what is called a Wubble Rumbler.
It's basically just
Randy Orton, and it says 3 feet tall. So yes, I have to put that out. So maybe the Rubble Rumbler will make an appearance on the Twippies next week.
That's awesome. It's
Yes.
it's very similar, except Brett's is like more looks like El Generico.
That's awesome.
Generico.
Yes.
Sami Zayn.
So we
Those
got
are fantastic.
we got Randy, we got Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns, Taker, Austin, and Big E. So you collect them all. You got 6 to choose from there. So
Five Below special.
I'm guessing so. Yeah, I'm guessing so. That was a good one.
Doesn't that say a lot about the making of new stars for WWE?
Yes.
That we have to have Austin still in there. We have to have Undertaker in there and Daniel Bryan, who's not even with them anymore.
Right.
Well, it's probably made like 5 years ago.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Well, copyright's 2021, so this must be
Big
pretty
E on there. I don't think so.
Yeah.
So doesn't that say a lot about the? If Jason was here, he'd be like, "Oh, there's Joe being negative again." But I'm like, doesn't that say a lot about them making new stars?
But it's all about what it's going to sell. Because if you're going to put in a Cedric Alexander on there, no one's going to buy it.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
We'll bust that out.
And Brock probably would want $5 million to be on there.
Which
And
Brock would you
his
want?
guy
Though?
would be
Would
like
you want,
7
like, shaved head or overalls and the man bun?
Yeah, overalls.
I want overall Brock.
That's
some
next
good
year.
stuff in recent times.
He is overall the best Brock there's been.
Yes. Yeah. Overall, Brock is top notch. And speaking of which, so all of us admittedly very little watching of wrestling. I'm sure we're all keeping tabs on what's been happening, but naturally holiday family stuff has taken precedence. So I just got some quick hitters that we can touch on of kind of what we've missed, because last week with the Christmas edition, we didn't even talk wrestling of current stuff. But talking about Brock, the biggest news going into day one, which is coming up on Saturday, is Roman Reigns fired Paul Heyman. He gave him a Superman punch, and things are kind of left to where they're going to be, I guess, for day one. Anyone have any initial thoughts on if Paul and what maybe the next turn to this story is? Kevin, what do you say?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. And the one part I liked the most is when Heyman was like, I'm protecting you from Brock, right? Not saying, hey, I'm preventing Brock, helping you along. No, he's causing the situation of Brock not hurting Roman. I thought it was really good. I like the Superman punch on Roman to Heyman. I think the partnership where Heyman, was the advocate at the beginning, I think it was fun. And then Roman just started getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, Heyman's not necessarily needed, I'd say, anymore. So I think naturally it kind of phased itself out. I want to see Heyman definitely side with Brock, but I don't know, like straight away. I'm not 100% sure, but it's inevitable. It's going to happen, right? And if it happened in the last SmackDown, sorry, I'm a little behind.
Yeah. It looked like he did like
okay, perfect.
It looked like he did like a sit down interview.
Okay,
maybe.
But with unshaven too, he had like the beard stubble.
But like playing like he's lost or something.
Yeah, I don't know where Mike. Here's the thing. I think it's all a ruse. I think he cost Brock the title, and he's still with the bloodline.
So
I think it's all fake.
I'd buy that if he didn't get Superman punched.
You can pull that. Come on.
If he got fired, and he walks away, then I say, yeah, there's the angle. But like, or maybe we're just supposed to forget that when it happens on day one or whenever it does happen.
No, I think it's all a ruse. I think it's all set up, and the wise man is still going to be with the head of the table. Because Kevin, you brought up a good point. Like Roman's been killing it like the whole year. Mm-hmm. And he even when he has a mic, you don't cringe anymore suffering succotash.
Oh my!
However,
get the chills thinking of that.
Having Heyman behind him still gives him the credibility of basically being acknowledged. Which, by the way, Brian, love the coffee mug still. Man, tick my wife off. I'm like, acknowledge me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I was about to make a bet with you, Joe, but then I didn't want to anymore. There was a bet between you and Jay with how many people would leave before the end of the year or by Rumble.
By Rumble, yeah.
What was it again?
I only have one left. If Tommaso Ciampa makes it past the Royal Rumble, but I thought Jason said he didn't want to do the bet anymore. I couldn't care less, to be honest with you.
We can address it next week when he's
next week is
the Twippies.
Because after what was it? I think I overreacted after Bronson Reed got canned and all those people got fired from NXT back in August, and I'm like, Gargano's going to be gone, Cole's going to be gone, O'Reilly's going to be gone, and Ciampa's going to be gone, and you were all like, no, and I didn't want him to,
right? But
then it happened, and I'm like, I don't really want to win that bet. I kind of want to see Ciampa stay, but who knows?
Yeah, no, anything's possible. Never would have guessed it with those other three.
I was just angry, and angry text messaging after a few beers.
Yeah,
it turns into Jason remembering it.
That's amazing.
So a new category for the Twippies: best dressed. Nominee Brock Lesnar's overall.
Number one.
Braun Breaker's singlet.
Yes.
No, number one has to be Seth Rollins.
Oh.
Ooh, Brian,
he's
that might
every
have to be
week.
Another category.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch.
Sorry, Nikki Ash.
Yeah. I'm with all of that. Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk more about day one, but before we wrap up, a couple more quick hitters. This one really just to mention, and we'll see if it affects day one, but it's been known that COVID's been affecting really everything, of course. Like a lot of basketball games have been postponed, football games, the bowl games, a lot of them have been canceled, or NFL games have been postponed. And I know that's been affecting WWE specifically. Seth Rollins basically said on Twitter, basically that he had COVID, and I think he was happy that the Bears won. So naturally,
Merry COVID Christmas. I love football.
Right. So that's it. Obviously that affected Becky Lynch. She wasn't on Raw in the arena or anything this past Monday. So, we're going to do some previews and predictions in a little bit.
Here's the thing about Raw this past Monday with most people not being on.
Yeah.
It actually ran smooth. It's
ran amazing how they can pull that off.
Yeah. They were able to give people more time. Because would you have ever seen the 24/7 match go for like 10 minutes?
No,
Or
It usually goes
Damian
24
Priest
seconds.
and Ziggler had a good match.
yeah.
And then
It
you
would
had
have been
AJ and
interesting.
Cedric, not Adrian Cedric, AJ and Apollo, and
AJ
Cedric
and
was
Apollo.
involved, and Shelton, and
That was
yeah,
another
I
one.
thought it was a really good Raw.
I think AJ was supposed to fight Omos because they split the week prior, and so that was another one that presumably COVID affected the plans for that. The plans changed. I apparently was supposed to go. That was at the Little Caesars Arena, but then my sister decided to come in from out of town for the holidays, and so hey, family first. So no wrestling as much as she would have loved to have gone to. We ended up passing for her visit. Joe, I'll go on the next one for you for your initial thoughts. Kyle O'Reilly, he was done with NXT, and about 2 weeks later pops up in AEW, and he's got his thing reuniting with Fish and Cole. What are your initial thoughts on kind of how that's been done?
It's been rather predictable. That's why I was like I said I didn't want it to happen so quick when it was like all set up. You knew it was going to happen. I'm glad that those three are together. However, they're being like Shivani the other night saying it's hard to dispute that this group just works. I'm like, come on.
Wink.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's not like the NWO in the middle of the Monday Night Wars going over to WWF. It's not like that. The Undisputed Era was big in NXT, but they didn't make a big enough impact. They never made it to the main roster.
Right.
So I don't think they need to be together. I think it seems like more of a ripoff of what they were already built prior to where they were at NXT and Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
It's not, I understand that whenever you have, no matter what federation they were in, when you had Nash, Hall, and X-Pac together, Waltman together, they would always be together. When they went to TNA, they were the band. But you knew they were the NWO.
Yeah, right.
So I understand why they're doing it, but they have a lot of wink, wink, nudge, nudge stuff that not a lot of people know about. Like when O'Reilly showed up Wednesday night in their backstage promo, and having the Young Bucks going like, "Oh, you didn't say hi? Awkward." I'm like, what does the crowd know about the animosity between those three? Because they haven't been together in years.
Yeah.
And then you have O'Reilly saying that he doesn't know if he can trust them after what they just went through. I'm like, okay, good acknowledgement of the other company, but why? That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, and I think that's catered toward us who are really, into this and not catering to, a regular type of fan who's maybe just tuning into Dynamite and doesn't bother going online or checking on Twitter for these sort of things.
That's kind of an issue because you have an AEW audience who may not have watched NXT.
Yeah.
So how do they know?
Right. Yeah. They're probably banking on it being the other way, which I mean, it certainly is to some degree based on my impression of just the crowds that are there, right? You can tell they're really into it. They've brought out so many wrestlers that I couldn't imagine they would get a pop if they showed up on Monday Night Raw, like a Jay Lethal, right? Something like that you're like, okay, we know about them, but not everybody. So yeah, I get your point. I don't know if it's how it's going to play out though. I was glad though that they did tease the hey, we got a lot of animosity because last time we saw them they were like 2 out of 3 steel cage street fight unsanctioned fights and stuff like that. And for me as a fan of those guys, I thought that was cool.
At least he's not cool guy, Kyle.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah,
it's he's going to go back to being kind of heelish, not cool with a fedora, jean jacket, insert.
Yeah, that was looking back now, that was a misstep. He had just defeated Cole in this huge blood feud, if you will, and he came out with just like bum off the street gear, and I remember that. MJF Facebook post that we talked about, Kevin, of that's Kyle O'Clementine,
Yeah.
right? Of Orange
Oh, right.
Cassidy. And I was like, oh, we'll see how it goes. And now I look back and go, that didn't work. That wasn't a good move.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah. Another big TNT or AEW move. Cody is TNT champion. He went over Sammy Guevara. He is champ. The weirdness of the Cody character of, the fans are clearly, voicing displeasure, but he's not turning and he's just kind of simmering. Yep. Joe, go ahead. Is that
I'm
the
just
story?
saying, Cody, you can't see him.
Yeah.
He's trying to do the John Cena thing, and it's working.
I think it's working.
People hate him.
Yeah. Did either of you guys see the match? I didn't see the match.
I didn't. I have it recorded. I haven't.
I watched it. I watched it because it was right when I was going to bed. So I was like, I'll turn on Rampage before I fall asleep. Long day.
Yeah. So he
I love the outcome.
He didn't cheat
Yeah.
or anything, right? He played it by the rules and won fair and square. Okay.
Yep. He went over as clean as a whistle.
Okay. All right.
But I think it's perfect. I boo him all day long. He's still awesome in the ring. He's fantastic. He can speak, right? So like Joe mentioned the Cena thing, and then Cena was terrible in the ring. Absolutely terrible,
at the time,
right? It's cookie cutter.
Mhm.
But Cody is nowhere near to the level of the megastar Cena was ever will be.
For sure.
So I would love it if it kind of just like built up as, kind of where, he's still happy. Oh yeah. And then it gets to the boiling point where he just says, you know what? Fuck you guys. Not heel to the other wrestlers, a heel just to the fans.
Yeah.
Nope, not going to happen.
Well, you never know.
I love what he's doing. He actually has a new shirt out that's like, trolling the fans. Have you seen it yet?
Right.
Or no?
I saw.
It says like good guy, bad guy, winner, and the check mark is the American Nightmare tattoo logo.
Yes.
And here's the thing: Cody doesn't even come out of the heel or face tunnel. He has his own tunnel in the middle.
That's true.
So he's been playing this since day one-ish.
Yeah, I agree. He's right down the middle, and as long as you hear wrestlers say it all the time, as long as you're getting a reaction, that's all I care about, whether they're booing or cheering, right? That was always the classic Cena line. He is that for AEW right now. So we'll see if anything changes, but I think they could ride that for quite a bit. Another point to NXT, they seem to be pushing more of these main roster interactions. The two that are, the prominent ones right now, AJ Styles kind of has this weird mini feud with Grayson Waller of NXT. Grayson, who was the guy who took out Johnny Gargano in his goodbye. And also next week on their New Year's Evil show, Walter is coming back with Imperium, and they're going to take on MSK and Matt Riddle. And I can't wait to see Riddle get chopped and how that's going to play out. And the dichotomy of those two teams, right? You've got the most serious wrestlers of Imperium and who don't joke around, and Walter is the biggest badass between these guys who are just like, we like to smoke a lot of weed and what's up, bro? Right. So the comparison of those two is great. Kevin, for you, does this sort of main roster interaction, do you want to see more of that? Does it do anything for you?
If in turn, maybe they put out some feelers on the other end where, hey, maybe Waller will, when he develops a little bit, he does a little segment going to the main roster, see how it works, right? Because they need to see, going into a crowd of, I would say 15 to 20,000, but crowds are a lot smaller lately. Like 10 plus, 10,000 plus. Because when you're in the NXT, arena and it's like 300,
right?
It's so intimate of an atmosphere. I like it. I personally can't wait for Walter to chop probably both MSK guys at once, both fall down. You see Riddle on the side going, bro. and then like Walter go and smack him. I like the push of it, but then it makes me think, okay, it's supposed to be a new look. Do you really want guys going back there like AJ? And it all depends. If in little doses, I think it works. If it's nonstop where multiple main roster guys are on there at the same time, not so much.
Okay. Joe, you were shaking your head on some of those things.
AJ doesn't make sense. He never went to NXT. That's my only issue with the Waller thing is AJ doesn't make sense. He could have gone after, if you wanted to go after a big fish, he could have started up with Drew McIntyre because at least he was NXT champ at one point. He could have went after Kevin Owens. He could have, but they're both heels. But either way, I think that would have worked too. When you think NXT, you don't think AJ Styles.
Right.
Yeah.
And they tried this before with Survivor Series.
And Riddle
they had
was
the NXT guys show up there, and it didn't do anything for him.
Could have went after Big Bob.
Right.
Yeah.
They could have went after Big Bob too. They could have went after Seth Rollins. They could have went after Big
Shinsuke.
E.
Yeah.
Shinsuke, exactly. Like he could have went after and attacked Boobs and went after Shinsuke. But going after AJ doesn't work because AJ has no what does AJ have to do with Gargano? Nothing.
Right.
A match I would have liked to see.
I would absolutely. Yeah, I don't have too much of a gripe about that. I get your point, Joe. And they did this, at times with, I guess, NXT 1.0. Charlotte was champ for 2 months or whatever. I can remember
Charlotte was in NXT.
Right. Yeah.
Before.
Of course. Yeah.
So it made sense. AJ doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
Yeah. No, I get it. I don't know. I think I'm leaning toward rather see the young guys just do their thing with the young guys, but we'll give it a whirl and see what happens with that. Last little point. So they did set the rematch. So we all know Dynamite is switching to TBS. The TNT era is done. TBS starting on Wednesday, and we're getting the Danielson Hangman rematch. I think Danielson has to win. You guys know I was unhappy with how they did the 60-minute time limit draw, where his first match against Omega was the time limit draw. I think he's got to win. I don't care if he cheats. I don't care. I think he's got to get this. And the precedent was set whenever they debuted Rampage. If you guys remember, Christian beat Omega for the Impact title. That was the first match on the first Rampage. So I think they got to do the same thing, go into the new network, get a big title change right off the bat. Any thoughts on that match?
Title change, maybe, but I definitely think Danielson will win by DQ at minimum, or run
decision.
What if
remember the judges are the ones deciding this. If there's not a pinfall,
I don't know about this, Joe. I missed this.
It's not going to be a 60-minute draw anymore.
Okay.
If it goes the distance, the judges decide.
Oh, I did not know.
So
that. Okay, that's a cool way to do it.
That's how you could realistically
right.
get the belt off of Hangman, which I don't think he needs to have it taken off him, because that's like he'd be the worst AEW champion of all time if he only had it for a month.
But and does that mean the start time is 8:05?
No, it does not. They haven't done that on TBS since the early 90s.
I don't remember the last thing I watched on TBS, so I had to.
Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone, who, by the way, Jim Ross, congratulations. He is apparently cancer-free. That is awesome. But yeah, they're going to show up 5 minutes late for the show on purpose to force some habit. They're going to pop in at 8:05. Excalibur's going to be looking around going, where are my partners here? They're going to pop on like, TBS, I thought 05.
Yeah, I was thinking they were going to show up an hour and 55 minutes early because of the 6:05 start where it used to be.
Right. They're going to get to the arena a little early. So we'll look for that on Wednesday. I think Danielson's the way to go, but we'll see. Moving on to day one. We've teased it a little bit, but we'll give some preview. We'll give some predictions. Again, card subject to change. We'll see how much or how little COVID might affect who's actually going to be wrestling, but we'll highlight the biggest matches on the card. Kevin, I'll start with you. Edge and Miz I know Edge, you are a huge Edge guy. You have
Mhm.
double the amount of Edge koozies that you would ever need. Thanks to
I have
Jason
12
and
times
myself.
the amount of edge.
Amazing. What do you think? How's this feud been for you? They had the wedding and the brood bath, and do you have any thoughts on how this goes?
I thought the vow renewal brood bath was pretty cool. I think the lead up has been better than I thought it would be. I don't know why I was negative on it at the beginning. Not on the wrestling, it's to be itself. Just I don't know. The coming off of Miz coming back, from Dancing with the Stars. I was just like, but they hit the ground running. I thought it's little hiccups here and there, right? Talking about shoes and whatnot. But I think Miz wins by ways of shenanigans leading up to that inevitable mixed tag match at Mania. I think it's going to be an awesome match. I definitely do. Both guys, God, it's awesome saying Edge is having one of the best years of well, I guess technically it'll be 2022 when this match happens, but the last, year plus, the man has wrestled amazing coming back from his, what we thought that life-threatening injury, surgery like a decade ago. But the match I think could be one of the best of the entire night. But I think Miz wins by way of shenanigans.
Joe
by Maurice.
Oh yeah, absolutely. See, I can certainly see that. Joe, the 4-way dance for the Raw Championship: Big E, Rollins, Lashley, KO. We don't know if all 4 guys will make it. We talked about how Rollins admitted he had COVID. We'll see if he's cleared in time. But what do you think for this?
See, I want Kevin Owens to win because he was the only one who showed up to Raw on Monday. And he made a point too, saying like when Big E had his like little video message on his phone saying like, I show up to work. He's like, yeah, this guy's talking about showing up to work, but I'm the only one who's actually showing up to work today.
Right.
I think Kevin Owens has been on fire this past 2 months, but the problem is all 4 have.
Yes.
Big E has. Lashley has been a monster. And Seth Rollins, this is like the best Seth Rollins we've had in 2021. So 2022, I can see big things for him too. Who do I think is going to win? Not a clue. But I'm going to pick Big E for the fact that I think they're going to ride him out until Mania.
So I'm going to say, I'm going to take the field, as they say. You're taking Big E or take the field. I'm taking the field. I think it is very well balanced that I could see anyone winning. But I think for Big E, I think that they need to do a more developed build for him to regain it, because he got Money in the Bank and then he cashed in pretty soon after. And he never really had that, go through all these contenders and everything and have it like that.
Has he even had a title defense? Because after he won it, it was Survivor Series and he faced Roman Reigns and lost.
Okay. Yeah,
I don't think he's had a title defense yet.
Well, he will on day one.
Well, he might. I don't know. I'd have to look and see if he had like a rematch with Lashley at some point. I'd have to go back and see. But in any event, yeah. I think somebody else takes it, and then he also has that over his head of like, hey, I didn't get pinned. Maybe Seth gets pinned by Lashley, right? Something like that. So he's going to have that, say, I didn't lose the title myself, right? So that's kind of how I see that going. Becky Lynch, Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan wins on day one. That's my girl. I'll wear the shirt proudly to start the year. And Joe's hot take prediction of somebody not of the 4 horsewomen will go down in flames on day one.
At least mine made it to day one, unlike yours.
I think about that all the time.
Kevin Steen wins the Owen Hart Cup.
They announced those Owen Hart Cup details, I think, like the previous week Dynamite or Rampage, and I was like, that was a bad guess. I don't know if that'll really happen, but I think, and we didn't touch on this, but I don't know if this will play into it or not, but Toni Storm, guys, she's done. And by accounts, as the news broke and then more news comes out that apparently she just up and quit. I don't think she even really, maybe she asked for a release, maybe not. It sounded like she literally like did a house show and said, peace out, I'm out of here. And WWE says, okay, I guess you're out of here. So does that play any a factor of just like, geez, the locker room is so frustrated with these main girls staying as champion, we should give Liv a belt and let her sink or swim?
Nope.
No, I think she loses. She probably cries, hugs a few kids in the crowd.
Here's the thing. As a teacher, if a student is having a temper tantrum, you don't, and you're both parents, you don't give in to them or you lose your power.
Fair.
If they gave into like the locker room doing this, it's like, go back to 2011 when CM Punk said, I'm just a spoke in the wheel. The machine's going to keep moving. You can let her go. You can let them all go. It doesn't matter. The WWE is a brand now. Doesn't matter who's there. They're still going to be the number one global giant that they are.
And the thing with Toni Storm is, didn't really ever care for her in NXT, never cared for really wrestling. Booty was pretty nice and big.
I was waiting for it.
I was waiting. Yeah, Kevin, but the thing took a little bit long time for that
but the thing is, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one thinking like she wasn't. I don't know. I just wasn't very impressed with her. I know Britt Baker posted a picture of her. Yeah. That'd be pretty cool if Britt like kicked out her entire squad of cronies and had Toni just being the only one. I don't want AEW to get her anytime soon. Shit. Toni just wants to keep getting more and more people to have an NFL level roster, including practice squad, including front office people. He just wants the biggest roster in wrestling history for a company. Yeah, well, if you use them or not,
certainly trends of that. I do know. I know Toni Storm. She recently got engaged to. She posted this. She was engaged to Juice Robinson, who wrestles for New Japan. So I don't, it's the holidays. I think she's from Australia. So maybe you're homesick. You're not in the same country as your fiance. Who knows? So maybe we'll see her pop up. I'm sure we'll pop up somewhere, but who knows if it'll be for AEW or just on the indies or who knows what. But getting back to day one, Roman and Brock. We've already touched on this a little bit, but Kev, why don't you share? What do you think?
This, I think, is going to have a lot of back and forth. So I think this match is going to be 25 minutes long. I think it's going to be long. I think it's going to have at least, I'm going to put a number. You guys can say over under. Okay. 6.5 near falls. And I mean, to the point where it's like 2.9 seconds, not, oh, I'm going to kick him. I'm going to cover him for one. No, I mean the last cycle. So the last like 5 minutes of the match, just back and forth. I think it's going to have at least 6 near falls back and forth or kickouts. Let me say that between each guy. I think it's going to be awesome. The good thing about this feud is, Joe, I think you even hit it. You've been most positive on Brock in the last 2 months than ever. And I don't see this feud stopping anytime soon. The only bad thing is, it's kind of haltering a lot of other guys really going up, but SmackDown doesn't have that many legit main event guys you can put on paper. Cesaro, yes. Realistically, no. Right? Shinsuke, yes. Realistically, no. So it's like you have to keep feeding. You just have to keep feeding the feud, and thankfully, it's working. That's the good thing, because if it wasn't working, like if Brock was just past Brock's evolving, taking photos, like dancing with random women, right? At like a bar, like smiling, like it's. I can't even say it. I think one of you guys put it like Brock's living his best life, or maybe somebody tweeted that. Like he looks happy, and it's coming across being happy when he's on TV, like, coming out in the badass overalls. So I think the match is going to go 20-25 minutes. I think Roman does come away with the title. I don't think Heyman's going to cost Brock the title at all. And I think this is going to go all the way to one of the 2 nights at WrestleMania in Dallas, Arlington.
I think because kind of that same theory I said with Danielson and Hangman and new year, new network, that I think Danielson wins. I think that Brock gets it. And I don't know if it's going to be Heyman involvement or how that'll look, but I think Brock takes it. I think Roman's had it for, a year and a half now, it seems.
Mhm.
I think we're going to give it to Brock, and then we'll go from there, and we're going to have some buzz that the tribal chief has finally lost. Joe, any other quick final thoughts on Brock Roman day one?
I think Roman keeps it. I think he's gonna have it at Mania. That's the place to lose the championship, not day one.
Okay.
And there are very few main event challengers on SmackDown because all the real ones went to Raw with Owens, Rollins, even Balor. But I mean, you got Drew still in the background. Him and Brock could have their little feud going in to go against Roman to make it a triple threat at Mania. Because Roman and Drew also had a feud at Mania prior to as well. So he has history with both of them.
Yeah.
That's the way I would do it. I would say the money's in the chase, and having Heyman turn on Brock like he always does would make the most sense.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We shall see. We'll see. Maybe none of these matches will even happen.
But Brock could win the Rumble. That's how he gets back to Mania.
Absolutely. Could all happen. Day one is Saturday. Maybe you're listening to this, getting ready for the show later on Saturday night. And Happy New Year to all of you and yours. So next week we've teased on it. Next week is the Twippies. It's our first ever. I know I can't say it with a straight face. Our first ever year in review award show. We have been doing That Wrestling Podcast since April, but we decided to do a bunch of different categories, and myself, Kevin, Joe, and Jason, what we're doing in kind of a modified version of our 5 count that we would normally do, where we're going to give people, basically our top 5 people in certain categories. So we're going to go through them next week, of course, with our big fancy award show. But this is going to be like a little just preview, if you will, a pre-show where we're going to just talk about some categories that we're not going to discuss next week, thinking about the year that we're just concluding of who really impressed us. So we're not doing top 5s, but we're just going to talk about, who we really liked. So I put tag team of the year. I think it probably starts the conversation with the Bucks. You got to throw in the Lucha Brothers in there. And maybe like a little notch underneath that is like FTR and the Usos. Kevin, was that kind of where your headspace is?
Yeah, I'd say just the Bucks and Lucha Bros, just from that tag team cage match at All Outside that we watched. Just those 2 teams are what's coming right, into my brain while we're talking here. And of course, like, a little bit here and there in WWE, of course, the Usos, AJ and Omos had a nice little run. Not I would put them as top, like the best of the best, but I would say top 5 to 10. But when I'm thinking of a tag team, I'd probably say, the Bucks, just because every match has just been incredible in the year of 2021.
Absolutely. Joe, were you frozen right now? It looks like
I was for a second. I don't know why.
Beautiful. Anything to add on tag teams?
Yes,
I do have one.
I have one.
Glacier and his tag team opponent.
Glacier and Veer. You froze up again there, Joseph.
What again? Hold on.
We're standing by. Should I say it, and maybe I'll steal his thunder? I'll give him a quick moment here and see what he has to say. But it's a team. Let's see if you can figure it out. It's a team that, like,
hello. Am I back?
Yep,
yes,
we
sir.
can.
Yes,
you're
sir.
not John Cena. We can see you.
Okay. I said RK Bro.
Thank you.
They've been the number 1 tag team for me because
fantastic.
Randy Orton has done something I didn't think would ever happen. He made me interested in Riddle.
Yeah.
That I actually look forward to those 2 coming on there.
Yeah. They're such a weird, like, because they're the tag champs. They've been the tag champs since, I think, SummerSlam. And, but it's like they're still
been
like
together
2 entities.
They've been together since like March.
Right. Yeah.
That's a great one.
No, that's good. They've had a hell of a year. Feud of the year. I'll let you guys go first on this one, and then I'll kind of talk about the 2 that I think did it best for me. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Kev. Go ahead, Kev.
Right up. Pressure. I'd say the Cole O'Reilly in NXT
Yeah,
was
that's one of mine.
pretty
Good one.
was pretty damn good. Just right off the bat, like put it on the pressure. That's the first one that came to my mind. So I'm going to go with that.
Okay. I'll say Edge and Rollins.
That's what I was thinking.
Fantastic one too.
Edge and Rollins was fantastic. All their matches were great. The Seth going to the house was great. Edge bringing back the Brood music and getting dark. That's just been fun. That's had a lot going on with it. And even though, Seth, I guess, was the loser of the feud, he's pretty untouchable right now as far as his level of entertainment. He even's got fans coming out of the crowd in Brooklyn trying to beat him up. So that's how much this guy has got it going on.
I did it for The Rock. I did it for Rikishi.
Any other one that pops in your head, Joseph? For
the first one I thought of was Edge and Rollins. They definitely have had the most memorable feud because both performers looked amazing at the end of it. There was really no winner or loser. They were both winners.
Yeah.
Other than that, and Kevin said the other one too, Cole and O'Reilly. That was another amazing one.
Yeah.
So I really, you hit my top two because I can't say any feuds that Kenny Omega was part of because his run was pretty A
non-wrestling feud never happened in the ring, but the feud between Cameron Grimes and $1 Million Man, it was pretty fantastic as well.
Oh, right. They did have a nice feud. Yeah. You could throw LA Knight in there.
We could throw LA Knight in there.
Yeah.
Just that whole, so we a little bit of non-wrestling, just Cameron Grimes is
you know what? I'm gonna go with a different feud that wasn't mentioned. Bailey and Bianca.
Yeah.
They had a good thing going after Mania.
Yes, they did. Yeah. That was a good one. And for me, so we've done at least I've done most of us except for Joe have done our voting for the Twippies. We're getting there. And that one I had to kind of go back because that was early in the year and it was before the crowds came back. So I think there's kind of a little division in my head of what happened
Thunderdome
then
era.
And what happened then. And I went back and looked and had that same thought of wow, that was really good. So I think that's a great mention there, Joe. Best show of the year for me, it's either All Out, which just top to bottom, that card, everything was really good. There was nothing I thought bad on there. That was really good. And for me too, Money in the Bank, I watched it at your house, Joe. It was the second show that they had with a crowd because I think the SmackDown 2 days before was the first one. So great crowds. We had a Big E getting his moment of winning the briefcase, and Nikki Ash was a surprise. Edge and Roman had a fantastic match. That's when I kind of forgot about when I had to go back and look at these shows. You guys agree? Any shows that really did it for you?
I'll throw All Outside was fantastic. Part of the atmosphere of hanging out. Definitely. Manias weren't the best, but Brian, I love
Night
that
one.
we were able
Night
to.
one.
Yeah, night one was damn good.
Night one was great.
I don't remember if that was the day where we had the flights prior, or I think that was I think that was night
maybe.
one.
Think so.
Night two is when we did the little brewery bar crawl. So
Correct.
that was fun. SummerSlam I thought was a fantastic show.
Which you were there
watching it when I was there. It seemed way better than the rewatch, but I think that's also because of the atmosphere of being at a live event and a huge football stadium look. But there's several really good ones this year. I thought all Outside, top to bottom of a show, that probably was probably the best card.
Yeah, there was nothing weak on that one, but there's some good contenders. Well, I agree.
Paul White
and GCW was pretty good in Vegas too.
Oh, wait, was that Paul White, QT Marshall in there?
Yeah, but that was only a 3-minute match, and it was after the CM Punk Darby match. It was okay, we need to get the crowd down because we got the main event coming up next.
Okay, and I think I did miss that because I was probably hobbling on my one foot going to the bathroom or something.
Yes,
so
you missed the amazing Paul White. So it was top to bottom for you because you were out.
Yes, it was. So I was selectively missing the worst part of the show. So.
And we're gonna.
I would have to agree with All Out being the best show of the year for the fact that it's not only did it have the good matches, but it also had not one, not two, but 3 debuts.
Yeah.
You had Ruby Soho.
Yes.
You had Adam Cole, and then Bryan Danielson.
Yeah. Moments.
It had 3 big
wrestling
moments.
is moments. Yeah. And that's one of the categories, like moment of the year. We're going to do that one next week. There's a lot of great contenders for that. All right. So that's a little taste of what you're going to get next week. It's a little more, formal, if you will, a little more put together, but that's going to be great to look back on the year that was in 2021. Something that is continuing into 2022 for 2 more weeks is the picks. Harper and Brett, they got 2 weeks left to go. I've got the update of the standings with 2 weeks left. Brett is holding the 1-game lead. This past week, the picks, both kids went 1-2. They both had the Cardinals. They lost to the Colts. Harper had the football team. They got wiped off the face of the earth by the Cowboys. So Brett won that one. And then they had it flipped on Monday night where Brett had the Saints, who they were starting their 3rd string quarterback, and the Dolphins put him on a pretty good. So Brett stands 24-20-1. Harper a game behind, 23-21-1. And wouldn't you know it, he's not here. Because in last week's football picks, we had Joe congratulating Kevin on the Santa video for the $50. Yet Jason was nowhere to be found. We had crickets chirping if you saw the video. And he's not here again this week. Kevin, do you think he is reneging on the bet?
he actually he had he PayPal'd me.
Oh, okay.
Did.
Breaking news.
He did. And we'll see when Pro Wrestling Tees gets their
right data breach
all figured out. But I promised. No, I'm just kidding. I
saw that.
I'm gonna get that. No, I definitely gonna take advantage of their. I think they have I actually got an email 20% off after the new year. Finally get that Britt Baker and probably an MJF shirt or something. Maybe an autograph. More 8x10s, 8.5x10 autograph pictures go along with some of our goodies. Glacier of me, the Hammer, Greg the Hammer Valentine from Joe, and
I had
playa, Teddy Long, playa. But yeah. Okay. And then Joe said he's gonna hook it up at GCW.
Yeah. Joe can hold off because we're gonna be live at Harpo's in a matter of 2 weeks roughly. So that's fine. But I'm glad to hear Jay lived up to his bargain. I knew all along.
I'm just the only thing that I was bummed about with the videos was Brian Santa looked more legit.
Yes.
Kevin, your Santa looked kind of like it was if your neighbor put a beard on and you're
that was
hey,
Santa's
let's try
helper.
to get this. Yeah, that was Santa's helper.
That was not Santa.
But do you know what the funny thing is?
Okay.
What?
So Brett was legitimately scared, right? To see him and leading up days after. He's like, Dad, do you know that I didn't really want to talk to him? Is because that's the real Santa. And I didn't want him to know that sometimes I'm naughty. And then, then just the next day after, he's like, Dad, does Santa live in Fort Wayne because he was at the Festival of Lights?
Oh my.
Well, buddy, he lives in the North Pole. He's like, I know, but that was the real one. He's like, I know he has some friends out there, but he's like, that was the real one.
What a smarty.
Stone cold eyes on it too. And I'm just like, keep the magic, buddy. Keep the magic.
I love that Santa was so happy too. Hey, Jason, don't be a mark. Merry Christmas.
All it was all for fun.
That's
all
right.
for fun.
And
then I had to buy
cash.
That's all. And I had to buy random little toys too, because it was like a charity type thing. So
okay.
Right. So part of that winnings went into
kids.
useless toys.
That's all right. That's more than okay and well worth it.
Exactly.
Good quality content.
But all right, the kiddos are coming down. Only one pick.
I know.
Week.
Barring a sweep, And in full transparency, Harper still has to do her picks. So we don't know which way they're going to go. But barring a Brett sweep, we will go into the last week with the chance at somebody winning or the tie for the 12 beer mega flight. So, that's great. We love drama. We love suspense. It looks as though we're going to get it. We will soon find out. All right, that's going to do it for this week's show. Thank you guys all so much for listening. Check out all our socials at thatwrestlepod. Jason, enjoy the time away. We hope you enjoy listening, and we cannot wait to talk to you into 2022 about all things wrestling on That Wrestling Podcast. Happy New Year.
Thanks for listening. Follow That WrestlePod on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.
1, 2, 3, that's it!